Welcome to Unity. So I've loaded up a fresh project with the main camera and a sample scene, as you can see. So today we're going to basically be talking about mostly a scriptable object. These are usually not used in the game, but mainly used to store data. So something just we can look at later on. So I'm essentially going to be showing you how to create a scriptable data and how to use it later on. Right, so in order to use it, you just go and create a C# script, and let's just name it maybe a scriptable object. Actually, to avoid confusion, I'll just name it room1. So you might just have multiple scriptable objects like room1, room2, room3, which you might just link together and use later on. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open it up in VS Code, and there we go. So it's got your usual void start and void update, which comes with every openable. So in order to make this a scriptable object, you'll first have to change it from a mono behavior to a scriptable object, which I'm going to do right now. It's not prompting me much, but let's see. There we go, scriptable object. So now essentially it's a scriptable object. Now when you're going to create multiple scriptable objects later on, it's going to be harder for you to create them each time, naming it room 2, room 3, room 4. So an easier version of this would be just to create an asset menu, which I'm going to do right now. So let's go ahead and make a create asset menu, and menu name equal to, and let's name it rooms or room, right? So what this essentially does is allow us to create multiple scriptable objects without going into the code each time. So I'll give an example. I'll just go ahead and save this. Now let's come back to Unity, let it boot up. And now when I right click and create, it gives me an option called room. So when I create room, it just creates a scriptable object right away. There we go. So we won't be needing this right now. Right now it doesn't have much. It doesn't have anything to show, and we'll change that in a couple of seconds. So let's just delete this, and let's go back to our code. So let's just say we want a scriptable object to store our text. Let's just say we want text for an opening scene or an ending scene, or maybe the credits or something. You just want to store text, right? You might always want to store text, or maybe just you're making an adventure about stories or poems or something like that. So in order for us to store text, we got to create a string, right? So we create a string, and let's just name it main text. Sounds about right. Now we want to be able to input data into this main text. So in order to do that in a more simpler way, rather than going into the code every time you want to put the data in, we're gonna specify it as a serialize field. So if it gives me the prompt, there we go. So what this essentially does is allow me to, I'm gonna go ahead and put a save, and I'm gonna show you exactly what it does. So now when I go ahead and create a room folder, it allows me to put in text. There we go. So here I can just enter text, and it'll be saved right there. See? So now I have a way of inputting text into the object and saving it. So that's essentially the entire thing done. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make this a little more neat and easy to look at, because right now there's just one line, and if I just keep typing, and it just goes on the same line, which is not very neat, if I had to say. So let's just go ahead and delete this. Well, it won't update in real time because you'll have to create a room every time. So there we go. So in order to improve the text area, I'm just gonna go ahead and create another text area, and I'm gonna put in the parameters as, let's just say 1014, which is the most classic way of putting it in. Okay, so right, so what these numbers essentially mean is that it's gonna have it's going to allow you to put in 14 texts in the first few lines, right? So it's going to be big enough for you to put in 14 lines of text. And later on, every time you put 10 text, it's going to extend itself. And I'm going to show you exactly what that means in just a couple of seconds. There we go. I'm going to save this in and go into Unity again. And I'm going to create another game object. Right, there we go. I think I've got this mixed up. I think it's 10 text and then 14. So if I go ahead and put in different lines of writing, it's gonna extend till 14 lines, and then it's gonna give me a scroll wheel. There we go. Yeah, that's what it meant. So essentially at any given time, it's gonna show me 10 lines of text. So let me go ahead and delete this. Okay, there we go. So now let's say you want to link different states together, right? You want to link these rooms. Let's say you're making different rooms, room 1, room 2, room 3, room 4, and you want to link them together. So there's a way to do that. So in order to do that, we would essentially want to create an array of rooms, because this scriptable object is called a room. So we want to create an array of rooms for us to be able to store the different rooms in our array. So in order to create it, we'll just call it room, and we'll just give a double brackets, which is the classic way of defining any array. And we can name this anything. Let's just name it following rooms, because this is basically going to contain the information for the rooms that are to come after this. And in order for us to hook it up in a much simpler way, we're going to go ahead and put it as a serialize field. There we go. Cool. So now we'll essentially be able to see this in the UI. Now I could go ahead and check if it's working, but I know it's working because I've done this before. And we're going to move on to make sure we can retrieve this text. So there's actually a very simple way to make this happen. We'll just create two functions, which is gonna allow me to retrieve the information that's in the strings and in the array. So in order to do that, we're gonna create a public function. It's gonna be a return type of string, and let's just name it get main text. That makes sense. And all it's going to do is just return main text. There we go. So every time you want to use a text which is in the scriptable object, all you have to do is just use this function get main text, and you could have a code that basically goes string a equals get main text. So the data inside of any of these objects will get saved in A. So it's just as simple as that. And now let's just say you want to get the data of the following rooms. Let's say you've got room 1 and you've linked room 1 with room 2, room 3, room 4, and maybe multiple other rooms, and you want to know what rooms are to come after room 1. So in order to do that, we'll just do the same thing, and we'll create, this is going to be return type of an array. There we go. You don't want to name this room 1, but let's name it room. Well, where have we gone wrong here? Okay, so I don't know what's working when I put room 1 and not room. Maybe if I I see, it's public class room 1, so you essentially want to keep the name the same. So let's just change everything to room 1. That's the problem that we were facing. So right now our scriptable objects are all called room 1, or we could just change everything to room. So that should work in theory. There we go. So we fix the problem. So here we're just gonna create an array of rooms, and let's name it get next rooms. Now I have no idea what this error is. All code passed on a value type, blah 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 blah. If I just complete the code and return following rooms, this should work. Yeah, there we go. So now essentially we've created the entire code where we have a array to store all the following rooms that are about to come, and also a string to store our text. So we're going to save this and go ahead and run it in. So if I click on room, okay, so I'm going to go and create an object, and there we go. We have main text, and also we have following room, which says size 0. Let's just say we size 5, and it gives me 5 rooms to hook it up with. Let's say I create a few more rooms, right? Let's just say I create a room called, let's call it room 2, and another one called maybe just room 3. Right? So let's say I want to hook up room 2 and room 3 to new room. So I'm gonna put the size as 2. There we go. Now I can just drag it and hook it up with room 2, element 0 and element 1. So essentially when you wanna access the information room 2, you wanna use the keyword 0. You wanna go room bracket 0, which is the classic way of accessing any data inside a array. So room 0 would be referring, this piece of code was essentially be referring to this room right here, which is room 2. So this way you can I'll have to make sure this is in there too. There we go. So now we essentially have text which we can save and write multiple stuff here, and you can write different stuff in the different rooms. And the great thing about this is you can hook up maybe new room, and you only hook up new room and room 3 to room 2. So all I have to do is maybe go on to, we're gonna try a different number. Let's just say 1, right? We're gonna hook up only one room to this, and I'm just gonna drag and drop room 3 and drag it in there. So now you can use the data of room 3 inside of room 2. So this is pretty much how scriptable objects work, and it's pretty useful in the game dev industry. Well, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.